Those who are done with the questions, raise their hand in Zoom. Very weird sound. Only eight of you all have done these questions? What man? Yeah, others where? 11. Madi, Madi. Anyways, let's start the discussion now. First and foremost, hello everyone. Second question, sir, is it? How are you all? Walaikum salam. Hi, hi. Alhamdulillah. Okay, let's start. So, first question, write one similarity and one difference between variables and constants. Okay, before we write okay, they ask him both similarity and difference. Okay. When you take variables and constants, both of them have a common purpose, right? What is their common purpose? Why do we need a variable in a program, or why do we need a constant in a program? What's the purpose? No, Hannah, why? 2024. Question number 7. Perfect. The main thing that's common between both of them is their purpose. What is common? That is to store values. So you can mention here the similarity is both of them are used to store values. Similarity, both are used to store values in a program. Okay, to store values in a program. So in a program, when you want to store values, but we do under a specific name, like for example, x equals 5, y equals 7, like those kind of names we give, right? So those are basically the variables. And if the names cannot change, they are constant. So the difference of variables and constant is in variables, the values can change, but constants, tell me, can the value of constant change within the program after it's defined? Can we change the value? Not like that, Haran. I was doing some work. In programming, it is used to represent a value, correct? Yes. The difference is basically values can be modified after it's defined, but the values of constants cannot be modified after it's defined. For similarity, I wrote both are identifiers. Is it correct? No, both are not identifiers. Okay. Identifier is basically the name we give for the variable. For example, normally if you're using a variable in a program, you can just mention the variable name as it is. Like for example, x equals 5 or else num equals 7. Okay. Without just mentioning x and num, I mean in pseudocode, in pseudocode, you can directly mention x equals 5 or num equals 7. Or if you also want, you can also mention something like variable num equals 7. Like this also you can mention. Both are fine. But normally in pseudocodes, if you're going to define a variable, we don't mention anything. We just keep it as it is. But if it's a constant, for example, we had used this word called const and we had mentioned const x equals 5. Okay, something like that, right? So if you take identifier, it's just that name. This is an identifier. This is an identifier. This is an identifier. Identifier is just the name we give. Okay. So we can't tell that both variables and constants have an identifier. That is not suitable to say as a similarity because identifier is just the name we give for the variables and constants. Okay. But the idea of variables and constants is, for example, if I have a program like this, like say a program like begin x equals 5, begin const x equals 5, and let's say x equals 7, and let's say have display x. Okay. Let's say have const x equals 5, const x equals 7, display x, and end. Let's say a program like this. So when I have a program like this too, first of all, look at the first program and tell me, what do you think the output of this first pseudocode would be? Difference, I wrote the value in variables can be changed, while in constant values values stored stays constant. Is it correct? Yeah, that's fine. Yes, Hannah. Can I write variables, the values changes while in constant the value will remain same? Yeah, that's fine. For difference, I wrote identifiers change value in variable in constant. Yeah, those are correct. Huh? Those answers which I mentioned, those are correct. Correct. In the first program, the output will be 7. What do you think the output of the second program is going to be? What's the output of the second program? Yes. First of all, this line will give you an error. Okay. First of all, this line will give you an error. And apart from that, if it has to give an output, what would the output be? Correct. If it has to give an output, then the output is going to be 5. So this is how this program is going to be. That's the difference of variables and constants. Anyways, so if you had mentioned the values of variables can change, but values of constant cannot be changed, that's also correct. Why error? That's what I just now told. You can't change the value of constant after it's defined. This is called defining a variable. So this is called defining a constant. This is called defining a variable. Defining means giving a value. So in variables, after it's defined, you can modify again. But constants, after it's defined, you can't modify again. Is that clear? Mahmoud got it? So it's giving an error because we're trying to change. So yeah, for the first question, if you had mentioned for similarity, if you have mentioned about storing the value, you get 1 mark. For difference, if you have mentioned the cannot variables value can be changed and constant values cannot be changed. Okay. That idea, if you answer, you can rephrase sentence any way you want, but if that idea is there in your answer, again 1 mark there. Both has to be mentioned. You can't just stop by mentioning variables can be modified. HRIQ, you can't stop. Huh? It mentioned both variables can be modified, constant cannot be modified. Or variables values can change, constant values can't change. Okay, so put 1 mark, 1 mark there. Next, the Roman number 2. What do you mean, Fatih? The following flowchart is drawn to calculate the average marks AVG and display the grades when marks M1, M2, M3 of three subjects are given as input. The grades are decided according to the following table. Okay, so they are saying that we are going to get three subjects marks and we are going to find the average marks based on that. Okay, if you go through the answers, I mean options given here, they have mentioned that what you called if your marks is if your average marks is greater than or equal to 80, your grade is A. Okay, so basically if it's more than 80, maximum it could be 100 because what you call marks can be maximum 100, no? So if it's in this range, that means they are saying it's A. It's going to be mixed after that, Fatih. And they're saying less than 80 and greater than or equal to 65. Okay, less than 80, but greater than or equal to 65. In this range, they are saying it is B. Less than 65 and greater than or equal to 50. Okay, less than 65, but greater than or equal to 50. This range, they are saying the marks is going to be C. Otherwise, it's going to be no grade. So otherwise means your minimum marks will be 0. No, marks can't be anything below 0. So they are saying if it's between 0 and 50, that means no grade. So this is what is mentioned in that table. The summary of the table. Okay. Is it Rida? So the question is saying read M1, M2, M3. So keep in mind the word read means input. Okay. The word read gives the idea of input. So we are asking the user, hey user, enter the values of M1, M2, and M3. That's the three subjects marks. 75 is A, right? That is in normal exams. Here we have to follow the idea given in the question. The question has mentioned 80. So stick with that value. So after you get the three subjects marks, you can see there is a process here. Okay. After the process, you can see there are three rhombus here. Tell me, if rectangle is going to represent a process, what is rhombus going to represent? We have three rhombus here, right? What do rhombus represent? Perfect. Rhombus represents that a condition should be there in it. So if you take this as well as this, they represent a condition. A decision means basically a condition has to be there inside it. Okay, that's also fine. Then here we have a parallelogram and here also we have a parallelogram. So the parallelogram should definitely be an input or else output. Now tell me if you want to get the three subjects marks and based on the three subjects marks, if you're going to find the average marks and based on the average marks, if you have to find the grade. Okay, now you all know the situation, right? The situation is clear now. The situation is we have to get three subjects marks. Using the three subjects marks, we have to find the average marks. Okay. If you look at the situation, okay, if you look at the situation properly, we have to get the three subjects marks. I'll put just 3 marks, huh? But it should be three subjects marks. And after the three subjects marks, we have to find the average marks out of the three. And after you find the average marks, you output the grade. This is a situation, no? So now tell me, these two parallelograms, normally if you take a parallelogram could be either an input or else either it should be output. That's what normal situation is. But based on the given data, tell me, in this situation, can these two parallelograms be an input? Can these two be an input? Why do you always draw monitor as a process? Just no reason. Just to show that that's a, because process happens within the. I'm using a monitor to represent it's a computer. So a process happens within a computer, within a device. So I'm using a computer, what do you call a computer to represent a device. So a process happens within the device. Input is given to the device. Output is given back to the user. Correct. It can't be an input. The reason it can't be input is because in this situation, the only input we need is 3 marks. And we have got the 3 marks here already. See, M1, M2, M3, all three subjects marks we have already obtained here. So therefore, there can't be another input. So definitely it has to be an output. Okay. If you look at the situation, you can see there is one output called display B. That means the grade B. We have display C. So there are two boxes we are displaying B and C. That is B and C is done. That means definitely the remaining two boxes has to be one should be representing no grade and one should be representing A. Okay. So roughly now we know some data. Roughly we have idea of the flow chart. Okay. Now there are certain answers you can even write. Okay. Even if you don't know the question, there are certain answers you can even mark without even knowing what the question is. I'll tell you what. If you look at this flow chart without even knowing the scenario, will you be able to find what this question mark is? What do you think? Is it possible to find that question mark? Yeah. Why? Because in a decision box, if one arrow is mentioning yes, that means definitely the other arrow has to be mentioning what? And correct. If that's going to be yes, then this has to be definitely representing no. I found out that. Just like this, if you come down, again you can see there is a decision box here. Here they're mentioning no. So if it's here no, that means this has to be definitely what? The question mark here has to be definitely perfect. This question mark has to be definitely representing yes. Now see, there are two things we found out even without knowing the question. Like even if you don't know the question, you can find out the answer. Now others, you need to know the question. Now in this scenario, we are finding the grade depending on the average marks. Okay. But is there any steps currently shown? Okay. Is there any steps currently given already where the average marks is calculated? No, there is no steps the average marks is calculated. So therefore, calculating the average marks has to come as a step, right? Now tell me, finding the average marks. For example, average marks can be found like this. No? You can find the average marks saying, I will use a variable called AVG. Okay. So I can say, let's say AVG. You can mention AVG, you can mention average, you can mention X, Y, Z, ABC. You can use any name you want. There is no issues. Huh? I'll, for example purpose, use AVG. So if I'm going to use AVG and write a what do you call instruction, my instruction would be something like this. No, you find average marks by first of all adding all the marks together. The first subject's marks, the second subject's marks, and the third subject's marks. You add all the subject's marks together and you divide by the number of marks you're adding. So how many marks you're adding here? 1, 2, 3. You divide by 3. Now tell me, this instruction I wrote here, it's a what type of instruction? Is it an input, process, output, or a condition? Perfect. In this, it's a process. So this is the label, this is the value that has to come to this box. Okay, this is the value that has to come to this box. Okay. So let me actually label this for easy purpose. I'll call this as, let's say, A. I'll call this as B. I'll call this as C. I'll call this as D. I'll call this as E, F, G, H, I, J for easy purpose. Huh? So now we know A is representing this. We already found something else as well earlier. Let me just write all this here. B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. We found out that I is representing yes. We found out D is representing no. For now, we have found out this. Up to here, is it clear what I have done all of you? Actually, in this question, you all are supposed to draw the whole flow chart. But even if you just randomly found the answers, it's fine. Okay, next step. Now I am done with A, right? Now I can see there is a decision box here, right? If this decision box is giving me yes, I have to find the answer of a grade. Okay. So I did not notice it, Fatih. I have found out the grade B here. I have found out the grade C here. So I have two options. I have to make sure that this has to be this question. This letter C is a C has to be no grade or else C has to be A. But it kind of looks like it should be A. But let's see. Okay, let's see. If I want to get this A, if I want this label C, okay, if I want this label C to mention display A, okay, let's say I want this to be like something like display A. If I want this to display A, tell me the average marks. It has to be within which range? Can't we just write calculate average? No, you can't just write calculate average. You have to mention how to calculate the average. Actually, in the real exam, you have to redraw the whole flowchart, Hannah, because the question has mentioned here. Copy the above flowchart, Kila. Correct. It has to be in the range of greater than or equal to 80. That means 80 to 100 range. So one way you can write here, if average is in this question, in the letter B is there, right? In this letter B, in this situation, you can go and check, is the marks greater than 80? So I'm going to mention here, is average marks, is it greater than or equal to 80? Okay. This is greater than or equal to 80 kilo. You can write. There's another answer as well. Okay. Without writing is average marks greater than or equal to 80. Another answer you could mention is something like this. So one answer is like this, is average marks greater than or equal to 80? This is also correct. Apart from this, you can also mention something like, is average marks greater than 79? Both of these are acceptable. Is that clear, all of you? Okay, so I'm saying here, if the marks is more than 80, more greater than or equal to 80, then display and then we end in the program. Okay. Now, for the value to be what you called B, okay, when it's less than 80, for example, if it's more than 80, we are saying to display. So we are done with this part. So when it's less than 80, directly we can't say it's B. Okay, if it's less than 80, you can see there are three options it could come under. We can't directly say it's B, we have to figure out what option it is. Okay, so for it to be B, not just being less than 80, there's another requirement it has to have. One is less than 80, other one is what? For the grade to be B, one is yes, it has to be less than B, less than 80, but apart from that, it should be something else as well. And correct. It has to be greater than 65. So the part about less than 80, the part about less than 80, we don't have to separately calculate. The reason is because if we are coming down, okay, if we are coming in the no direction, that means definitely the marks is less than 80. Why? If the mark is more than 80, we will be going in the yes direction. Okay, if the mark is more than 80, we'll be going in the yes direction. No. Only if it gives you no, that means the mark is less than 80. So for us to say it's B, then here we can write the condition as is average marks, is it greater than or equal to 65? So if it's greater than or equal to 65, okay, we can say here, if it's greater than or equal to 65, if it is yes, we can say to display B. If it is no, now we can calculate how to find C. So how to find C in this question, they have said C is greater than or equal to 50. So again, no means it's automatically less. But under less, we have two options. We have to figure out exactly where is it coming. So for it to come under C, apart from being no, it has to also be more than 50. So I can write that like this as is the average marks greater than or equal to 50. So if it is greater than or equal to 50, if it's yes, we display C, or is no, we come to J. So J has to be something like display no grade. Because either A, B, C, if it's not A, B, C, then the remaining option is what? If it's no means, that means this condition is giving you false. So no means what? Display no grade. So that is how you find the answer here. Is that clear, all of you? So always when you get a question, first of all, go through the question, figure out what is the purpose of the flowchart. Understand the question first. Okay. Calculate the average marks and display the grade. Perfect. Okay, put 1 mark each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1 mark each. This will give you 10 marks. And the previous question we had 2 marks. So tell me out of 12 marks, how many marks you all have got? And those who have any questions, drop your questions in the chat. Here 10 marks. Previous question 2 marks. That's fine. I didn't do the average part. I wrote as is M1, M2, M3 greater than or equal to 80. No marks. Sad life. You find that. What did you do in this label A? What did you find in this process if you did like that in other questions? No, Malik, no. Only the PDF is given. Okay, others quickly you can copy down the correction. Make sure you all write the answers neatly. I ask you all to maintain a separate writing book paper class. So in that paper class writing book, keep your answers neat and nice. Yeah, I'm writing on the computer itself and I'm writing like this. So you all have to write the book, maintain nicely. Yeah. Next. I have taught arrays in online class. I have not still taught arrays in physical class. Mm, so I will keep that for a while. What is the purpose? What will happen? Okay, first of all, let's do this question. All of you go for the 2021 oral paper. In the 2021 oral paper, do this question A and question B. I will give you around 8 minutes. I'll put all of your hands down. So once you're done, raise your hands up. Question A and B are here. This question. So then shouldn't we write in the programming paper class to say if you have space there, write there. I don't think for all the questions you have enough of space. So if you can find space, I don't have any issues. Anyways, only for the first lesson you get the tubes. The remaining questions are it will be random papers. I watched only 1 day recording, not day two, because I didn't receive. You didn't receive what? So A part I wrote it as process equals M1 plus M2 plus M3 divided by 3. The bracket is important one. Second thing is you can't use a keyword called process as I can remember. Process is not a word you can use for variables. This tute I have shared in the group, Karthik. By the way, those are not there in the group. I'll share the group link again in the chat. So if there's anyone of you who is not in the group in the sense the WhatsApp community for the paper class. For the paper class, there's a separate community. If you're not there, click on the link and join. So you can get the paper from there for those who don't have it. Shifna, the programming question we'll be doing in the paper class. Remaining lessons we'll be doing with in the theory class itself normally. The older questions. Do this question all of you all. Once you're done, raise your hand and Once you're done, raise your hands, all of you. We'll have around 4 minutes more. Okay, your time is up. Let's start now. I'll send later. For now, just look at the screen sharing, okay? Ta-dun, 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 ta-dun. Okay, let's start now. Answer questions reports A and B based on the following pseudocode. Okay, they are given here a pseudocode which has a while loop. Okay, what is the exact purpose of the above pseudocode? Now, for you to understand the exact purpose, obviously to go through the pseudocode, and sometimes if you find out what are the inputs, okay, if you find out what are the inputs and what are the outputs, process also is important, but mainly if you find out in this question what are the inputs and what are the outputs, you will be able to find the purpose. Let's go to the program. Huh? In the program, you can see there's a variable called counter, the value is 0. There's a variable called x, and the value of that is also 0. Then you can see there's a thing called display enter number and read number. So that means we're asking the user to enter number. So these two lines of code tells that we're asking the user for a number. Asking a user to enter a number. That's what those two lines are telling. Then we have something called x equals x plus num. Okay, if you look at the program, initially the value of x is 0, right? When you say x equals x plus num, what we're doing here is we're adding that number the user gave us. The user gave us a number, right? The number the user gave us, we're adding it to x. So imagine, for example, x as a container, and we're asking the user a number. So the number the user gave, we're going and storing it inside this container called x. Initially it was empty, then we added the number the user gave. And you can see this whole thing is the answer while loop. That means repeatedly we're asking the user to enter numbers. So these two are going to be repeated. We don't know how many times yet. Okay, wait. Repeatedly, these instructions are going to be repeated. Repeatedly, these instructions are going to be repeated. Iterated. What are going to be iterated? Iterated means repeated. Huh? What are going to be repeated? Asking the user number and adding that to num. Initially, x is empty. X is 0 here. But within the loop, you can see we're getting a number, adding it to x. Getting a number, adding it to x. See, we're adding the number to x. Adding the number to x. X equals x plus num. The word x equals x plus num, we are saying update the value of x in such that the new value of x is going to be equal to the current value of x plus number. So for example, the second time the user enters a number, what's going to happen is x equals x plus num, which means currently x will have the num as well. And while it has the num, you're going to add that new number the user has entered, something like that. Okay, so repeatedly get a number from the user and add it to num, add it to x. Okay, and counter equals counter plus 1. That is, you can see this variable called counter is mentioned here, here, and here. Initially, counter is 0. Within the loop, the value of counter is increasing by 1. So initially it's 0, it's increasing by 1. So 0, 1, see plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. So value of counter is increasing by 1. Okay. And you can see this loop has to be repeated only while count is less than 20. So that means when value of count is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 18, 19, all these times the value of this what you call instruction inside has to repeat. Okay, only when the values of count is less than 20 it has to repeat. Once it reaches 20, it will stop the repetition. Okay, so when the value of count is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 19, it will keep on repeating. Now, first of all, tell me from 0 to 19, how many numbers we have? In this range, how many numbers we have? Yes, if you count and see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you count and see, there are 20 numbers here. From 0 to 19, there are 20 numbers here. So that means these instructions inside are repeated how many times? When the value of count is 0, it's repeating. When the value of count is 1, it's repeating. 2, it's repeating. 3, it's repeating. Right? So if there are 20 numbers here, that means these instructions inside, they are repeating how many times? Yes, it's repeating 20 times. It's repeating 20 times. So what is repeating 20 times? Getting a number and storing. Getting a number, adding. Getting a number, adding. And once you're done getting 20 numbers and adding, at last you're displaying x. Now, what is this x holding? X is, you can see little by little, when a number is entered, a new number is entered, a new number is entered, that new number is added to this variable called X. Added. Little by little, it's added. So that means this variable called X is storing the sum of these numbers. Okay. So you can say the purpose of this program is to get 20 numbers from the user, or you can mention to find the sum of to find the sum of 20 numbers, or 20 random numbers, or 20 numbers you can mention. 20 numbers entered by the user. Simple. This is the purpose. Finding the sum of 20 numbers entered by the user. Is that clear, all of you? To find what is happening, what is repeating, I saw the instructions inside. How many times it's repeating, I saw based on the condition and that respective variable. And then what is the expectation from the output? I wrote to add 20 random numbers given by the user, correct? Can I write find X? No, wrong. You mention what is X. The purpose of this pseudocode is to input 20 numbers from the user and calculate or display the total sum of these two numbers. Not calculate or, calculate and display. Rida, cut that, remove that slash and mention calculate and display the total sum. Like cut that slash and mention as and it's correct. What was the purpose you mentioned? Here in green color, I wrote finding the sum of the entered number. Find the sum of 20 numbers entered. Cut that word called the and mention. Oh, yeah, just add the word called finding the sum of the entered 20 numbers. In fact, between enter and number, just mention 20 because you have to be specific about how many as well. I wrote get the total of 20 numbers entered by the user. I'm gonna just continue a sentence by saying entered by the user and you can mark it correct. Read the 20 numbers and find the sum. Amar continue a statement saying find the sum of them. Add that word called of them. Can't we just write sum of numbers entered? You can't just mention sum of numbers, you mention how many numbers as well. So at that part called sum of 20 numbers entered. Can't it be to find the sum of 20 random numbers given by the user? That's correct. What was the other purpose you mentioned? The only purpose. One program has only one purpose. To get 20 numbers from the user, store them and add them, store them, then add them and display them. Yeah, kind of correct. Won't I get marks if I didn't mention the number? I'll give you marks now, but next time make sure that you are specific. For incomplete answers. How do you know it's 20 numbers? That's what I showed you. If you look at the whole, so what you call the repetition, the repetition is dependent on who decides how many times to repeat the condition. The condition will what you call decides how many times to repeat. So in the condition, what are we checking? We're checking the value of count. The value of count should be what? It should be less than 20. When the program started, what was the value of count? Counter was 0. Okay, counter started with 0. And whenever counter is less than 20, it repeats. Okay. So how is the values of counter changing? By this instruction. This is showing the value of counter changing. So what are the values it's going to get changed to? When you say counter equals counter plus 1, the values of counter is going to get changed by adding 1. So initially counter is 0. Then we are going to add 1, add 1, add 1, add 1. So value of counter is going to be something like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how the values of counter is going to increase. Okay. So it'll go like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It will be going on like this. Right. Now, this condition will give you true only when this condition where while count is less than 20. This condition will give you true only when the values of count is something between 0 and 19. When it's 20, it will give you false. So that means when the value of counter was 0, also this instruction followed. When the value of counter was 1, also it followed. 2 was it followed. 3 was it followed. So from 0 to 19, how many different numbers we have? We have 20 numbers. So that means from that I found out that 20 times it's repeating. Did it make sense now, Alish? How I got that 20 times? That's fine, then just cut that word 19 and mention 20 and give marks. I'll tell you how many marks, wait. Counted addition of 20 numbers entered by the user, and you can give marks. Okay. So those who mentioned, some of you all asked me different answers, like incomplete answers, and I told some corrections to do. So you can do those corrections and you can give marks. Give 1 mark there. If you have any other questions, drop in the chat. Huh? Next. What would happen if the statement counter equals counter plus 1 is removed from the pseudocode? Okay. If counter equals counter plus 1 is removed, that means the value of counter. Will it change to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Will this change happen? Correct. No. So that means if the value of count is always going to be 0, then always when we are following after, now, after you follow these instructions, in a while loop, what happens? You follow these instructions. After you follow these instructions, in while loop, what happens is when you reach the end while, we'll again go and check the condition, right? So when we're checking the condition, right? Always are we checking is 0 less than 20? Is this what we're checking always? Huh? Now, after you follow those instructions, when you reach end value, again check the condition, right? So when you're again checking the condition, always are we checking is 0 less than 20, 0 less than 20, 0? Is that what is being checked? Those who are saying no, tell me, okay, first time we're checking is 0 less than 20, no. Next time, what are we checking then? Those who are saying no. Those who are saying no, it's not always 0 less than 20. What are we going and checking there? Again, my question was if you remove the statement counter equals counter plus 1, which means if the value of count is always 0. So after you follow these instructions, when you're again going to go and check the condition, are we checking something else apart from checking is 0 less than 20? Yeah, after it's removed. No. So always we are going and checking is 0 less than 20, 0 less than 20, 0 less than 20, right? So that means the value of counter, it's always 0, 0, 0, 0. The value of counter is not changing, right? So the value of counter doesn't change. Okay, if the value of counter doesn't change, and if always you're going to check is 0 less than 20, what is the problem we'll face by this? Okay, if the value of counter is always 0, and if the condition we are going to check is always going to be 0 less than 20, what is the problem we will face? Correct. The problem we'll face is again and again we are going to check is 0 less than 20, 0 less than 20. This condition will never give you false. Okay. So if this condition never gives you false, the problem we can face by that is there is no full stop for that repetition. It keeps on repeating for multiple times. So what would happen if the statement count equals count 1 is removed? What would happen is the program will never end and the instructions within the while loop and the instructions within the while loop will keep on repeating without an end. Without an end. A proper answer would be something like this. It's just that X will be getting a new number, right? No. I mean, the values of X still we're finding the sum of numbers, but we don't know how. I mean, even though we're calculating sum of numbers, there is no full stop. So you'll just keep on calculating. The value of X will increase, 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 increase. It won't be same. The value of X will keep on increasing, but it won't stop. The loop will be infinite, correct? We can't fulfill our purpose. No. Mentioning we can't fulfill our purpose is wrong. You mention the problem you'll face. Okay. Please explain it again. Yeah, I'll explain. In this program, earlier I told you that when I was answering the question A, I told you that this program will be repeated. So this program will take 20 numbers. It will find sum of 20 numbers. And I showed you how I found it. It's exactly 20, not 18, not 17, not 15, not 21. The reason I told you exactly 20 is because I told you when the program started, you can see value of counter was 0. In the condition we're checking is counter less than 20. Only if counter is less than 20, we're repeating. So first time when we repeated, the value of counter was 0. And I told you within the program, the value of counter in this line, it was increased by 1. So if you increase by 1, the value of counter will become 0, 1, increase by 1, it will become 2, increase by 1, it will become 3, 4. That's how the value of counter got changed. So I told you when the value of counter was 0, it repeated, 1, it repeated, 2, it repeated, because all these situations, that condition is counter less than 20, it gave you true. In all those situations, it gave you true. Okay. But when the value of count became 20, now here it gave you false. Because if you go and check is 20 less than 20, this gives you false. So that means this repetition stopped. Okay, in this program, this repetition stopped once the value of count became 20. Because in 20 it became false. Okay. So in that first question I was answering, I told you when the value of counter was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 19, it kept on true. So that's from that till I told you that 20 times it's repeating. So if I remove this yellow color line which I've highlighted here, if I just remove this point, then that means the value of count is not changing. The value of count is always 0. So when value of count is always 0, okay, you follow these instructions, you again check this condition. What I checking is count less than 20. So we are checking always, every time you check, you're going to check is 0 less than 20. Every time you follow these instructions and check is 0 less than 20. Follow, check, follow, check. So when you keep on checking, the value of count is always 0. So it's like is 0 less than 20, 0 less than 20, 0 less than 20, 0 less than 20. There is no full stop for that. Because that will never become false, right? For the while loop to stop, for this whole while loop to stop for this whole while loop, for it to stop, the condition should give you false. So because the condition is not giving you false, it keeps on repeating without an end. So if you remove this count equals count plus 1. Because why? All the time you check the condition, every time it's giving you true. Does it make sense, Majida? Every time you check that condition, it's giving you true. Why is it always giving you true? Because the value of count is not changing. Always it's 0. Because this is changing the value of counter. To remove this statement, value of count is not changing. Because the value of count is not changing, the condition is always true. So because the condition is always true, the loop keeps on repeating without a stop. Why, Hana? Why? So I know the pseudocode will never end because the condition count is less than 20 will always be true. Correct. The value of count will always be 0 and the loop will repeat without ending. Is it correct? Yes, it's correct. I know this program will be an endless loop. Endless loop. Correct. The condition repeats forever. Not the condition repeats forever, the program repeats forever. The pseudocode will keep on repeating. Don't mention pseudocode will keep on repeating. The while loop will keep on repeating. Just cut that word called pseudocode and let the while loop and give marks. It will keep asking a number from the user non-stop. Correct, Zaina, you can give marks, but just write this part as well. The program will never end. The flowchart is stuck in. You can't write like that, Lisa. What is it, Hannah? I put counter will not become 20 and remain 0. So we can add many numbers as we want. That is not a problem. You gotta exactly figure out what's the problem happening. Like what's the issue by doing that. So your answer has to directly or indirectly give the idea that the program will never stop. The program will keep on repeating. Program is continuous, not continuous. Continuous means there is like it's like going sequentially. So continuous is wrong. You have to mention program is never ended. I know the loop will become an infinite loop. Yeah, correct. Will keep on repeating or while keep on repeating for B answer. The while loop will keep on repeating correct, or the program will keep on repeating correct. In that counter question, will the condition of counter also be removed? In that counter question, will the condition of the counter also? No, no, no. They have mentioned only the part called counter equals counter plus one. Only this is getting removed. Only that one which I have what you call scribbled in red color is removed. So yeah, if you all mention some answer, any answers that signify the idea that the program will never stop or the loop will keep on repeating without an end. If that answer is being signified, you get 1 mark there. Tell me out of 2 marks, how many marks you got all of you? So whenever the condition is true, it keeps repeating. Therefore, x might get a new value every time. Yeah, obviously, because the value of x is increasing. X equals x plus now. What you mean by that is the value we are getting, we're adding it to x. So value of x is keeping on adding. It's keeping on increasing. It's keeping on growing. But there is no end for that growth. Something like that. Either the number of inputs will increase or decrease according to the user's wish. No, it's not in the user's wish. Program will not stop asking you. Yeah, correct. Chalo. Inshallah, Malik. Let's see. Not sure. Most probably, I don't think so, but let's see. Okay, those who have any other questions, drop in the chat. Others, do the Roman number two. I'll give you 5 more minutes. I'll give 6 minutes. I know there will be no limit for the number of times the numbers are entered. Yeah, correct. I'm going to continue your point saying there will be no numbers for the number of times numbers are entered, and the program will never end. Like at that part call, and the program will never end, or the loop will never stop. Something like that. Like add an extra part to signify that the program will never end. I'll put all of your hands down. Once you're done with the question, Roman number two, raise your hands up in Zoom. Huh? Why is this flowchart so big? It is actually very small. There are flowcharts that's larger than this as well. Even before solving the question, an extra fear is added by looking at the flowchart. Sad life. It's very actually, if you read the scenario here, it's very small. Always start with a paragraph. You can easily find the answer. Yes, possible, Malik. Why, Hannah? This is like basics. Without this foundation, it's like you're gonna be. It'll improve your thinking pattern. If you know the problem is you don't know the context. Once you know the contents, very easy. See the question. Here, the question they have said, no, in the question they have said just to write down the match tables A to F. To write down the labels, Malik. Time is up. Is there anyone of you who want more time to do this question? How many more minutes you want? 2 minutes. Okay, I'll give you 2 more minutes. Quick. I didn't get your question, Rushta. I given you 2 more minutes. We can do it all of you. No, Rushta. Mahmoud, it's the candy count and call count. Okay, let's start now. Okay, so in this question, they are saying always see how I approach a question when without just focusing on the final answer. I'll have a dirty habit. That is, you all so badly want to know the final answer and just mark your answers, or final answer is write down on your answer sheet. You all don't see the process of how I'm finding the answer. It's just so much concerned about what the correct answer is, but you're not concerned about how to get the answer. So focus on the process. A teacher asked from 50 students to choose their preferred travel destination. So either Candy or Gaul for the annual school trip. The destination will be decided based on the highest student preference. Okay. The following flowchart is blanks, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Basically, they are saying in a school, there are 50 students. You have to ask each and every student, do they want to go to Gaul or do they want to go to Candy? And at last, we have to find out how many have voted for Candy, how many have voted for Gaul. And whoever who has the highest vote, what you call that city only, they'll be visiting. That's the idea mentioned in the question. That's a plot. So first of all, you should understand the scenario. Without knowing the scenario, you can never do a programming question. You always know what the problem is because this program is a solution for the problem. So without knowing the problem, you can't work on the solution. So you can see in the beginning of the program itself, we have a variable called student count, that is 0. Candy count is 0, goal count is A. So probably the candy count variable should be used to maybe store that. Again, I'm doing assumption here, okay? Because I didn't still go through the program now. So I'm saying maybe student count is used to keep a track of how many students we have asked their preference. And candy count, maybe that's used to, what do you call, store the people, how many people who like candy. Goal count, maybe it's used to store how many people like to go to goal. In the beginning itself, if candy count is 0, that means the beginning itself, goal count also has to be how much? Yes, the direct answer. That also has to be 0. So I'm going to say A is going to be 0. Now, I have a condition here. In this condition, I'm going to see is student count less than something. If it is less than something, I'm going to follow this instruction. Then I'm going to follow this instruction and this whole thing. So if the count is less than 50, I'm going to follow all these instructions here. All these instructions I'm going to follow. And if you look at the pattern, again, I'm going to come and check this condition. And depending on this condition, again, I'm going to follow this, again, check, again, follow, again, check, again, follow. So you can see there's a repetition here. Okay, you can see there's a repetition here. And what is, if you look at the repetition, within the repetition, you can see we're getting the travel preference. Okay, now this should give you idea. If within this repetition, we're getting the travel preference and finding is it candy and all those stuff. See, that's happening within this repetition. Tell me how many times this whole thing has to be repeated. How many times should we get travel preference? Now, so far, we have not even got once. So far, we have not even got once. We are supposed to get it now. For how many students are to get it? Perfect. We have to get it from 50 students. That means this portion called get travel preference, which I here circled in pink color, that portion has to be repeated 50 times. So we have to think about what should be the value in the letter B. Okay, what should be the value in letter B to make sure that all these values are repeated 50 times. Okay. Now here we are checking the value of student count. When the program started, the value of student count you can see it's 0. So when the program started, the value of student count is 0. When the program started, the value of student count, it was 0. And if you look at within the repetition, which I circled earlier, if you look at within the repetition, you can see within the repetition, the value of student count is increasing by 1. Okay. Student count is equal to student count plus 1. So within the repetition, if it's increasing by 1, and again you're coming and checking the conditions, you're going following these instructions. Okay, and you're going to again, but you can come and check the condition, right? So within the repetition, you can see the value of student count is increasing by 1. See, student count is equal to student count plus 1. That means the value of student count is going to be something like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be like that. Okay. So let's say it goes to 48, 49, 50, 51. Okay, it can keep on going, right? So when the value of student count is 0, it's going to repeat. When the value of student count is 1, it's going to repeat, right? It's going to repeat in 2. It's going to repeat in 3. Likewise, if it's going to repeat multiple times, we know it should repeat 50 times. I showed you earlier, it should repeat 50 times. So tell me, what is the last number it should repeat from to make sure I repeat 50 times? What should be the last value student count has to be to make sure it repeat 50 times? Correct, 49. Because if you count and see from 0 to 49, how many numbers are there? From 0 to 49, there are 50 numbers. So when the value of student count is 0, it should repeat. When the value of student count is 1, it should repeat. 2, it should repeat. 3, it should repeat. So only if it repeat when the value of student count is in this range, okay, only if it repeats when the value of student count is in this range, you will be able to correctly repeat it 50 times. So therefore, we'll write a value for letter B in such that when the value of student count is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in these all values, it should give you yes. Once the value is more than 49, that means if the value becomes 50 or 51, it should give you no. So to do that, tell me what is the suitable value we can give for the letter B. Perfect. For the letter B, we can give the value 50. So we can be like, the value of student count is less than 50, then go and repeat these instructions. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 48, 49, these are all values less than 50. So the program will work perfectly as we want. Up to here, is it clear all of you? Why do you use the symbol between student and count? Because that is given in the question. Yeah, the variable name is student underscore count. You can't variable name can't have space, right? 2 weeks back, we learned about 2 or 3 weeks back, we learned about the rules to be followed when you have to give an identifier name. So when you have to assign, so when you have to give a name for an identifier. If you use that, what's the purpose of that? Kushta, did you watch the recording where I told about identifiers? Can we have a variable name like this? What is the problem? Why no space? So how can I make sure that I don't keep this space here? There are two options. How can I avoid this space? Yes. One is I can write together like this. What is the other option? One option is I can write together. Second option is I can fill it with something. Okay. I can fill it with something else. Okay. I can fill it with a character. So what this character can be? I can fill it with any letter. I can fill it with any number. Or else I can fill it with the one and only allowed symbol, which is underscore. Apart from underscore, no other symbols are allowed. So either I can put letter number here, for example, student 7 score, something like that, or student A count, something like that. I can use a letter inside in between, a number, or a symbol. And the only allowed symbol is underscore. Got it? So in case 0 isn't included, then total count will be 49, right? That is if student count is equal to 1 here. Either if this is 1, if this place, if they have mentioned student count is 1, then it will become 49. Got it? Understandable, Vanishi. It's fine. Okay, next. What do you call when you go through the program, you can see I'm getting a specific student's travel preference. Okay. After I get his travel preference, I'm going to go and check, is his travel preference equal to Candy? Okay. Now, if his travel preference, yes, if it is equal to Candy, then what should I do? I should increase the number of people who likes to go to Candy. Okay. Initially, you can see the value of candy was 0. I have to increase it by 1, right? If someone says, yes, I want to go to candy, you're going to increase it by 1. So tell me, if I want to increase the value of candy preference by 1, okay, you can see here we're going to increase the value of candy preference by 1, the candy count by 1. Then what should be the label representing the label C? What should be the value representing the label C? How can I increase the value of count now? If when we ask the student their preference, if they are saying they want to go to candy, how can I increase that preference by 1? If student count is starting from 1, I should write 51 for B, right? Yes, sub here, you can write 51 in that situation. Perfect. What do you call? If the preference for candy is, so if the student's travel preference is equal to candy, then I have to increase candy preference by 1. So how do you increase candy preference by 1? You can say the candy preference is equal to, the new value is equal to current value plus 1. Okay, so it should be something like candy count is equal to candy count plus 1. So therefore, the label C has to be candy count. Okay, so label A is representing 0. How many labels are there here from A to F? Yeah, A, B, C, D, E, F. So we found out that A is representing 0, B is representing 50, C is representing candy count. So if the student likes to go to candy, we're going to increase the candy count by 1, and this is how we do it. Up to here is that clear, all of y'all? Up to finding here, ABC. I wrote candy count is equal to count plus 1. What do you mean by count plus 1? What is the value of count? If you say candy count is equal to count plus 1, what is the value of that count? How do you know that what do you call a count is stored in the value of people who likes to go to candy? Like before this instruction, have we told the value of candy? I mean, have we declared a variable called count, and have we given a value for this variable called count? No. So if you say what you call candy count is equal to count plus 1, you will be getting an error. If you say candy count is equal to count plus 1, you will be getting an error. What is the error you will be getting? The error you will be getting is undefined variable. Undefined variable means this variable doesn't have value. So how can you add 1 to it? You're saying add 1 to this variable called count. But the problem is we don't have a variable called count. We don't know how much is count. So without knowing how much is count, then how can we add 1 to the count? Understood the problem here? So if you're using a variable, the variable first of all has to have value. Yeah, Janish, you should watch the recording. Can't we say 0 plus 1 for the candy count? How then if you say 0 plus 1, then the value of count candy count will not change now. So let's say for example purpose, I'll take candy count as case here. If you say kc equals 0 plus 1, let's say I'm getting the first student's preference. After I get the first student's preference, I'm going to follow all these instructions fine. After I follow all these instructions, I'll again come and repeat second time, right? So when I'm repeating second time, I'm getting second student's preference. So when I'm getting second student's preference, let's say he also says candy. If you say 0 plus 1, that means the value of count is not changing. It's always 0 plus 1, 0 plus 1, 0 plus 1. 0 plus 1 is always equal to 1 no. That means the value of count is not getting changed now. Now, for example, let's say first student says, I want to go to candy. Then you're going to follow this instruction saying 0 plus 1, that's equal to 1. Okay, candy count is equal to 1 now. Okay. You again ask the second student their preference. They are also saying they want to go to candy. So if you're going to follow these equations in kc is equal to 0 plus 1, again the value is 0 plus 1, which is equal to 1. So value of candy count is not changing. It's always 1. It's always, no, if I tell you to find what is 0 plus 1, even if I ask you to find it 100 times, 0 plus 1 is equal to 0 plus 1, right? Is the value changing? If I ask you find the answer of 0 plus 1, 0 plus 1, 0 plus 1, I give you three questions here. Will these three questions have three different answers, or will these three questions have the same answer? Same answer. So if you keep on repeating 0 plus 1, 0 plus 1, 0 plus 1, then there is no purpose. It's not 0 plus 1, it's existing value plus 1. Did it make sense, Suheli? It doesn't, I can tell, I'll explain. In all, will they test us with conversion from pseudocode to Pascal? Is it common? Pascal to pseudocode, yes, but pseudocode to Pascal, less chance. But you have to know how to do it. Travel preference is equal to candy. So I didn't understand this. That's a condition. Is not travel preference equal to candy? Is travel preference equal to candy? It's a question we're asking. Once we are asking the user to enter their travel preference here. So after we ask the user to enter their travel preference, what do you mean by travel preference? We're asking, do you want to go to candy or Goa? So they'll give answer no. So that answer is going to be stored in this variable called travel preference. So get travel preference means this has a variable called travel preference. This variable called travel preference will have the answer what the student gave. So we go and ask a student, do you want to go to candy or Goa? The answer is there here. So here we have a condition asking, is the value of travel preference, is it equal to candy? It's a question mark. It's a question. So that means we are asking the value the user gave, the answer the user gave, is the answer he gave, is it equal to candy? Does that make sense, Mahmood? We are asking the user a question here. We are checking basically the value the user gave, is it equal to candy? So if it's equal to candy, we are going to increase the value of candy count. Hmm. If the answer is no, we are checking is the value the user gave, is it equal to candy? If the answer is no, that means he has given the answer as what? Like if he went and checked the answer the user gave, was it candy? Okay. But if the answer was no, that means he has said what he wants to go where? We went and checked the value the user gave us, is it candy? If the answer is no, that means he has said that he wants to go where? Anna correct. He wants to go to goal. So tell me, if you want to go to goal, what should this equation be? If his preference is to go to goal, I had to increase the goal count, right? So how can I increase the goal count? What should be the equation? Exactly. Just like earlier we wrote candy count is equal to candy count plus 1. Here it should be goal count is equal to goal count plus 1. So the letter D should represent goal count. And letter E should represent by 1. We're going to increase the value of goal count by 1. Okay. And then what you can see is in both the situations, once we are done with the first student, we're increasing the value of student count and we're going to go and check, and this keeps on repeating for the second student, third student, fourth student keeps on repeating. Okay. Now, once we are done getting all 50 students, that is where the student count is going to give you false. So this condition is going to give you false, and you're going to come here. After you come here, you're going to go and check, is candy count greater than something? And if it is greater, then you're saying, okay, we are going to go to candy. Or else you're going to say, we're going to go to goal, right? So that means, what should the letter F be? You have to compare the candy count with what count? You have to compare the candy count with what? Yes, you have to compare the candy count with goal count. So letter F should represent goal count. So you're going to go and check, is the value of candy count greater than the value of goal count? So if the candy count is greater, that means we are going to go to candy, or else we are going to go to goal. Hmm? Why plus 1? There are 50 students. So far, I have not even asked one person. Okay. So while I have not even asked one person, so far the goal count is equal to 0. The candy count is equal to 1. So the candy count is also equal to 0. Now I ask the first student, where does he want to go? He is saying he wants to go to goal. So now when he says he wants to go to goal, what should be the value of goal count? Correct. It should be. Now I took the second student. I asked the second student, where does he want to go? He is also saying he wants to go to goal. What should be the goal count now? Perfect. I took another student, third student. I asked him also where does he want to go. He's saying he wants to go to goal. What should be the value of goal count now? Now, when someone said they want to go to goal, what do? You change the value of goal count, right? You change the value of goal count by how much? By adding 1 to it. Now, does it make sense why I said plus 1 there? You take the current goal count, add 1 to it. Take the current goal count, add 1 to it. Take the current goal count, add 1 to it. That's how I found goal count is equal to goal count plus 1. I wrote greater than 25. How can you say greater than 25? You can't always say greater than 25. Because as per this question, we are going to compare goal count and candy count. What if it's equal to 25? I'll just ask you a small question. In this program, if the candy count, is it possible for candy count and goal count to be equal? Like practically, is it possible for it to be equal? Yes. Suppose if it's equal, where do you think they'll end up going? Will they be going to goal or candy? Or will they go have some other options? As per the program, where will they be going? As per my answer, where do you think they'll be going? You all are literally very bad in your English, man. This is English question even. Okay. If they both are equal, let's say if they both are equal, that means what should be the value of candy count and what should be the value of goal count? What should be the value? It's 25. Okay. So if you go and check, is 25 greater than 25? What's the answer? Yes or no? Answer is no. So that means if both of them are equal, where will they end up going to? No means where will they end up going to? Goal. How did you all even come across this answer called both men? I asked you to go to the program and tell me where will they go. Not nowhere. As per the program, you can see. If it's no, they're going to go to goal. So even if the value is equal, they'll end up going to goal. Maybe the teacher wants to go to goal. Yeah. Not the teacher exactly, the person who made this program. So if the teacher gave this one of the students to make this program, then maybe that student wants to go to goal. That's why. Who knows? Anyways, put 1 mark each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put 1 mark each and tell me out of 6 marks, how many marks I got here? Then shouldn't have given to the student. Destination can't be decided. How do you say destination can't be decided, man? Literally, it's given in the program. No, here candy count. If candy count is greater than goal count, if both of them are equal, you're going to come and check is 25 greater than 25. So when you go and check is 25 greater than 25, the answer is no. And that's going to be print travel to goal. How can I say it can't be decided? It can't be decided means it's not giving you yes, it's not giving you no. But this answer has a no, right? How can you say can't be decided? You see, you all are not listening my full question. Did I ask for practically where will they be going? No, I told you if both of them are equal, as per the flow chart, where will they be go? Where will they be going? I didn't ask for practically where will they be going. Ask as per the flow chart. Same here, Hannah. Yeah, let me know your marks, all of you. Yeah, kind of favoritism. I'm going to go and tell that to this person who made the flow chart. Anyways, next. What will you choose? Goal or candy? What is there in goal? What is there in candy? I don't know, to be honest. So I'll first of all do a research and see. And then after that, I'll decide. Now I don't have enough of data. That's the correct answer, Ira. Finish the first one, yes. Second one, I have heard. I don't know anyone from that school, I guess. But yeah, haven't visited Candy. I have come to Candy for a seminar once, for a wedding once, for a wedding twice. In a lifetime, around twice or thrice I would have come. Maximum twice, I guess. Thrice. Yeah, one seminar, two weddings, I guess. It's right. So I've not gone anywhere in Candy. I just gone only to a specific hall directly after that. Okay, all of you all turn to page number 12 and do this question. I'll give you 5 minutes. It's an easy question actually. And we did a similar question earlier. Trip to Gandhi, let's see. Are you coming to Veligama for a seminar? Where? It's time that Master takes up to a trip. Sure. Go and tell it for Islam. So. Why did we shift to Attala suddenly, Ganesh? And how is why is it worse? What haven't been next time travel and explore around such a nice place. Yeah. You tell me some places to visit and go. Oh. Who said I didn't rush them? Depends where you have the aptitude. Not exactly there, but yeah. Right, yes. Sad life. Oh, is it Tennessee? Interesting. Will you have time for trips now? Good question. I even go to trip and do class. Like the last time the trip I went, I guess not your class, the grade 10 class. I went to Norelia and I was doing literally I was doing a class from Norelia online. You can ask the grade 10s. If you're taking us, would you take us to Angora Mental Hospital? Not Angora Mental Hospital. Some. I'll take you all to a general knowledge class and improve your basic general knowledge. Yeah, you can have fun there. Yes. Even goldfish memory is fine, but the basic general knowledge that is the problem. Zoo is better. If I take you out to the zoo, then the problem is they will quickly capture you all and put you all inside cage. They'll be like, how did these people come out of the cage? And they'll by mistakenly think that you all jump from the cage. पाव हमने वाला. After your parents will come and ask me, sir, you took in when the kids, where are they, killer? So that's case for them. I can't take that risk. Inshallah. I am not a human, no, I'm an alien. So they will not take me inside for the zoo. They will not consider me as animal. Don't worry. Yeah, we did in Velavata, I guess only Velavata and Abhiyan have done online color now. I think. By the way, you'll have only 1.5 minutes remaining. Quick. They will hire as zookeeper. I guess so. Currently, that's what I'm doing, right? See, I'm keeping you all and matchifying you all. This is in Tamil, they have this word called Madu Mekira. So I had lots of Madus here and I make it find this Madus. Krishna, I'm not an animal for information, I'm an alien. I'm just putting a mask and acting like a human. Yeah, that's a problem, Zain. How to do? Is it not? Not exactly. I mean, are you AI? Not AI, just an alien. I have my own planet. I just visited Sri Lanka for fun. You're supposed to look green. That's why I said I'm wearing a mask. Did I show my real face for you? Hello. So because I'm an alien, I can change my face whenever I want. This is the capacity of an alien. We can change faces. So for temporary purpose, I have taken the face of an what do you call it? Yeah, real. What's your planet's name? It's called Jupiter Lanka. Yes, I know what to do. Okay, time's up. Let's check your answer. Give me a moment. Give me a moment, guys. Okay. Okay. Sorry, Anik, I've got a small work in between. You're doing that in, okay, can you make other blah, 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 blah. There's no other questions regarding the listen. No? He already knows the Rida. Sir, so there's small gap. No, Amar, that's because what you called they got to know that I have an alien and they were discussing about that kind of a Sarah. What is with that? Is it Tyra? Just computer graphics, I guess. If Zoom didn't exist, there's no way you can prove this. Actually, there is a way. I don't want to disclose because I'm scared that if I disclose my identity, what do you called? If I disclose my identity, then police might come and catch me. You know, they're like, how can an alien be in the world killer? Okay, let's start. Why don't you all believe that I'm an alien, man? Okay, is this enough for you all to believe that I'm an alien? This is my original color. This is my original color. See here? Ta-da, ta-da. Yes, Saira. Anyways, what do you call why is your body cut in half? Do you really want to know it? Give me a moment, guys. Sorry, guys, got a call. And yeah, you said why is it half? No, now it's full now. Enough. Okay, let's come back to the main content. This is my original color. Okay, anyways, come back to the content. So in this question, what do you call they have mentioned here flowchart and they have asked to match PQRS. It's actually very easy to find this question's answer. The thing you should do is what do you call it? If you go through this question properly, you can see P is representing that's an alien. Higher, it's just acting higher, not real. So P is representing a process because it's then rectangle. Q is representing a condition because it's then rhombus. And then RNS, it's representing either an input or output because it's then a parallelogram. So these are the answers we actually currently know. If you go to the options given here, average equals M1 plus M2 plus S3, that's plus M3 divided by 3, that's representing a process. Display fail, display pass, that's representing an output. Is average greater than 40, less than 40, that's representing condition. So even without reading the question, okay, even without reading the question, in this actually you can find the answer that definitely label P is representing the statement 1 and all if I focus here and that statement Q is representing label 4. Tell me up to here is it clear of you how I found label 1 and label 4 even without reading the question? Yes or no? No, you can just keep it with you, Shahla. You can learn how to use it. How do you write so perfectly on the desktop? I don't know. I just write using a pen. Yeah, hello. I'm not going to disclose it. Okay, fine. Focus all of y'all. For RNS, we should know the content. If you read the question properly, they have said to be considered for pass, the average mark should be greater than or equal to 40. That means for someone to be pass, it should be greater than or equal to 40. You can see there's a condition here. In this condition they were checking is average less than 40. So tell me if the average marks, no, as per the question what they have mentioned, for the question they have said, what do you call the marks can be between average marks can be considered pass if the average marks is greater than or equal to 40. So that in greater than or equal to 40, it's pass. So that means less than 40 is failed, right? So now tell me in this all of you stop your talkings and focus here. In this condition we're checking is average less than 40, right? So tell me if this condition gave you the answer is yes, if the average marks is actually less than 40, then what do you think this person's grade is going to be? Pass or fail? Exactly. If his marks is less than 40, you can see he's actually failed. So that means if this answer gives you yes, S is representing display fail. That is option number 2. And this should be representing option number 3. Is that clear, all of you? Those who have any questions, drop in the chat. Others put 1 mark each and tell me out of 4 marks, how many marks you got here? Yeah, Shahla, yes, it you. What is Rishna? Understandable, Zaina. What to do? Bad life. Good job. Majority of you got 4, 4, 4. Stop your discussions. I said I'm going to delete the chat if not. Anyone having any questions? Rita, drop a message to this number and I'll tell you how to join the class. That is Shahla. Anyways, as there is no other questions, I didn't even see any questions regarding the lesson. Okay, so as there's no other questions, I am going to end the meeting. I asked for the questions. None of you ask questions. It's because we talked about aliens. Yeah, if I ask about aliens questions, they definitely have several questions to ask. Regarding this question, ask questions, no questions. Yeah? Hmm. Exactly. Anyways, as there's no other questions, I'm going to